God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Amen. Please be seated. Bring my water with me. Oh, I forgot something. So this morning, I thought about all the million ways that I might make this about me, and I decided none of them were very suitable, except the part about the sinful priest who has to make offerings for himself before he can offer to anybody else. I relate to that part in Hebrews. But what I want to really focus on today, because it will be my last time to address you as a congregation this way, is to say the story of Bartimaeus is everybody's story. It doesn't even have to have been historically true, because it's still everybody's story. And it's the story of faith comes this way to many of us. Even though we're raised in the church, or maybe we've never not known being like me. I've never not known being an Episcopalian, a Christian who followed this way of being a Christian. And yet I still had to have that kind of experience. And so I want to just pull out just a little bit about what is happening here. First, they're in Jericho, which is below sea level. It's just at the head, just before you get to the Dead Sea, or the Jordan River. It's an oasis that has archaeological finds that go back 10,000 years, maybe. That oasis has been a place of human settlement. So it's already an ancient place when they walk through it. But it's on the way. If you take the route from Galilee to Jerusalem by way of the Jordan River, you get to Jericho, and then you take that road where the Good Samaritan had to help the guy that got beat up. He takes the road from Jericho to Jerusalem. Goes up over these desolate hills. So he's gone through town, past all the palm date trees and all of that. Crowds following. He probably had already given a sermon and done some healing or whatever he had done. But he's on his way to Jerusalem. He's got his mind set. He's going somewhere. And so he's already out the other side of town and starting the hard part of the journey up over that dry part of the desert. And so right at that moment in the crowd, this guy starts yelling, "Son of David, have mercy on me." And I think that the way the crowd reacts is so like humans do to each other. Shh! Quit! Hush! Don't bother the big guy. Leave him alone. Shh! Well, he's not to be discouraged by that and goes ahead and shouts out again, "Son of David, have mercy on me." And Jesus just stops. That moment, what happened in Jesus' mind and soul in that moment where he heard the cry for mercy and he stopped? As set as he was on, we got to get to Jerusalem, he heard the cry for help and stopped. It took twice, so even Jesus was human. But he stops. "Come to me." Oh, now all the people who've been hushing him all of a sudden realize, oh, he's going to get to talk to Jesus. I want to be his friend. Come on. He wants to talk to you. I mean, aren't we like that? It's like, ooh, celebrity. If I just get to be next to the guy that gets healed, now I want him to get up there. Anyway, funny. These little details. So he says, "Take heart, he's calling you." So throwing off his cloak, he sprang up and came to Jesus. Now let's remember, he was regaining his sight. This is a person who had sight. before, and so knew what vision was. Maybe he had terrible cataracts, there are lots of conditions that might have brought on blindness later in life. So he knows what seeing is, and he wants it back. And he just says, "My teacher, let me see again." Jesus said to him, "Can you say the Lord's Prayer, the Nicene Creed, and by memory? What is your doctrine of the end times? Do you believe that everything in the Bible is literally true?" This could go on for a long time, couldn't it? Not one single query about this blind man, other than he makes a cry for mercy. And Jesus says, "Okay, see again." See again. Your faith has made you well. You see, all he had to, his asking was faith. We sometimes get confused that faith means I'm totally assured that everything's okay and my end of my story is going to be just like the end of Job's story. Well, maybe not. But the point is, his faith is just demonstrated by the cry for help and for mercy. And that's why I say that's everybody's story. Until we have come to the place where we know that all our efforts to be whatever it is we think we ought to be have in fact failed to produce the product that we expected. At least that's how it's come out with me. Till I let all that go and realize my only hope is, Son of David, have mercy on me. That's the plea, the human call for the divine to come and save me from this body of death, as Paul called it, this earth that is tormented by evil. It is not any wonder that any number of people might say, I just as well want to go on to heaven or to God or to whatever is after this because I'm sick and tired of this. And sick and tired can't be the last word. I'm reading one of Dan Brown's novels, the one that's all set in Washington, D.C., happens in one night. They made a movie of it. But at one part of the movie happens in the Washington National Cathedral. And the dean of the cathedral, who is described as a very old man in a black cassock and milky eyes, who can no longer see, but he can wander that whole complex blind and know where he is. So he becomes a character in there. But as Dan Brown, just in the narrative of the novel, describes him, he says, like many who have been in the priesthood for their whole lives, he was weary. The only thing I'll say about me is I'm weary. 38 years of ordained ministry, 41 years if you count 3 years of seminary. Now, a lot of people longer than me, but that's a long time. So what do the weary do? Where do the disillusioned go? What happens for the person who has given in to despair? I want to read this to you. I rarely read anything this long. This is written by a 15-year-old girl. Many of you may have met her, Gail Tanaka's daughter, who had a stroke in utero and is paralyzed and has a pretty much useless left arm. Lots of other struggles. This 15-year-old, if I can get through it, says more about what I think than I can say for myself. So I'm going to let her say it. Love is not what I call any ordinary feeling. Duh. It just makes me think. What is the real meaning of love? I heard it was a metaphor for life, and I believe that because life can bring happiness or heartbreak. But there's something more than just life. And many may disagree, but in some way it is deeper than God himself. Because love is God, but more. Love is a mystery, and only the lucky ones find what love's power is. Love's power does to the whole world. What love, her grammar's a little hard here. Wait a minute. Love, to think about the mystery of love's power and what it does to the whole world and to God himself. Why it is more than God is because it affects God greater than any of us can imagine. Love is the nature of everything and in everything. It forms life and takes away life. Love is more than just a thought. And even though I don't know the meaning of love, I know the power. I know the power because it is life and death. It makes the most powerful cry and the most weak smile. I don't know what life is going to take, where life is going to take me, but I do know love is going to be there to break me. But at the same time, build me stronger and shape me. Each of us has power of love. And in a little way, it gives us the power of life and death. The point is, use love to shape as many people possible. Because even if we are long gone and dead, the love lives forever in everything. And it lives everywhere. 15 years old. Wow. I started this ministry maybe at some time when I was 16, 17 years old. I came to that place where in a conscious way I cried out, "Have mercy on me." And mercy doesn't look like I think it should look, because mercy doesn't protect me from every danger or hurt or harm. But it restores and heals me when those things come my way. If only I can let go of the idea that I can fix myself. As long as I know I need a Savior, as long as I know my eyes are clouded by my own self-interest and my own ignorance and biases and so forth, then I can cry out an authentic cry for mercy, because I know what I need mercy for. I started this ministry based on John 15. I no longer call you servants, You're Jesus' friends. That's who you are. That's who I am. No longer call you slaves or servants of God. You are friends. Therefore, go and do what I have commanded you. The simplest commandment you could ever have. Love each other as I have loved you. The church matters because this little girl grew up a Christian in a church, an Episcopal church, in a Christian family. And it matters because this is what happens when we do that. So do not give up the faith. We've given up a piece of property, but we're not giving up the faith. We are not losing our God. We are not separated in any way from the mercy that has made you who you are. This is a temporal thing, and all things pass away. George Harrison said that. But love, this little girl knows, endures forever. Live in love, and you are in God, and you are connected forever to one another in your faith.